KayFabe Smark Podcast. Welcome to the KayFabe Smark Podcast with Eric Todd and Brian Rompa, your smart mark source for news and opinions on the world of professional wrestling.
Hey, what's going on? This is November 11th. This is the KayFabe Smark Podcast. You are hanging out with us here on YouTube, on TikTok, wherever you get your podcast from, Spotify, iTunes, everything fun like that. Make sure you guys join us on all the social media platforms. That is Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of that. That's where we do it all at. YouTube, make sure you guys go over there, hit the bell, the little notification, get the notifications when we go live, subscribe, all of that. We're going to talk AEW. We're going to talk professional wrestling. We've got news. We've got underrated and overrateds. We've got would you rathers. But first, let's check in with Mr. Eric Todd. Eric, what is happening?
Oh, you know, same old. Getting ready to dive into a little bit of nostalgia this weekend. Brian, Rockstar Games remastered and re-released the original trilogy, Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. So supposedly they're all remastered. The guys have fingers now instead of little club hands. So I haven't got a chance to play it yet. Came out last night, but gonna pop into that tomorrow and go back in time about 20 years.
What platforms were they released on?
They re-released them on PS4 and PS5, and I think Nintendo Switch also.
I also hear rumor that they are releasing those for the Oculus.
That would be pretty awesome. I do have an Oculus. Whatever one doesn't connect to your computer is the one I have.
The Deuce, but nonetheless. Yeah, so I think they're going to release those. I saw a thing with Robot Zuckerberg going to get you in the metaverse running around playing Grand Theft Auto. But that should be fun. I would love to check that out. Well, we've got AEW we're going to talk about. We've got Full Gear creeping up on us.
Yeah, this was the go-home show this week, Brian, and I would have rather go home than watch that show again.
Yes, this was our re-go home show. As last week we went home once, and as they say, you can't go home again. Now, before we get into all that, Full Gear and the go home show, you got news for us?
I do got a little bit of news. Kind of a slow news week, but slap that ticker and we'll get in and out of it right now.
We are going to the news. Check it out. Let's hear what Mr. Eric Todd has to say this week in the news.
All right. So ECW legend, hardcore legend, Sabu finally announced his retirement at the tender age of 56. Pretty elaborate quote from Sabu here. I have it, and it says, and I quote, "I'm probably not going to wrestle anymore," end quote.
One of those real in-depth, he was always a man of many words.
He was. He does elaborate and say he's been suffering from a lot of back pain, and he feels if he wrestles again, he could really fuck himself up. But once again, I'll go into that long-winded quote, "I'm probably not going to wrestle anymore."
Sabu has back pains? I never would have thought he would have had any aching, lingering injuries. I mean, I've never thought of such a thing.
Yeah, I blew my son's wig off because we were watching Dark Side of the Ring one day this week, and we were watching my God, why am I drawing a blank? Whatever wrestling promotion that was that did all the death matches over in Japan.
XPW? Oh, and over in Japan. War?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
No, I don't know. Whatever ones, Terry Funk, Cactus Jack, all them were going on. Well, there's video of Sabu going over the barbed wire ring ropes there and ripping his arm open, and he discusses how he was in the ER all night long getting stitched up, and from that point on, he decided he was just going to use glue and duct tape to close all his wounds, and he actually became the locker room doctor using that surgery technique.
Yeah, there was in ECW, he had a barbed wire death match with somebody, and he got his arm caught in the ropes between the top and the middle. Did that like Andre the Giant gimmick when he would get wrapped up, and when he yanked his arm out, it was bleeding, and he's screaming at Fonzie. Remember Bill Alfonso? He's screaming at Fonzie, "Give me the tape! Get me some tape!" And Fonzie goes, "I don't have any tape." He goes, "Fucking get tape!" And so Fonzie finally figured out where to get some tape, and you can see in the match Sabu like doing a quick one on his bicep and taping his shit together. I think that was from the Hardcore Homecoming DVD that Shane Douglas put together. They told some backstories, some old stories on the commentary portion. So that was pretty funny. I mean, funny, I guess, if you're into that, but made me laugh.
Yeah, Sabu's a tough son of a bitch, as well as his uncle. They showed a match on that Dark Side of the Ring also, where Sabu, when he was still a young little guy, wrestling a death match, and his uncle Sheik was in there, and I think Sheik was like 65 or something, got trapped in an Inferno match. Nobody could get him out of the ring. They thought he was going to die in there because the heat was extreme. The flames were too big for anybody to get in. The fire just got completely out of control. But the original Sheik, he ended up squeezing out of that ring and getting like burns on 85% of his body, something like that. So
cool,
Sabu, Sheik, tough sons of bitches there, straight out of Detroit.
And yeah, tough guys. It's not sad to see Sabu retire. He's clearly left his mark and got his marks from professional wrestling. So God bless and Godspeed, my friend.
Oh yeah, he'll be able to make a living just signing his name for the next 20 years or so.
Yeah, most likely.
Some sad news on the front here, Brian. Buff Bagwell's mother, Judy Bagwell, has passed away at the age of 78 after fighting a battle with dementia.
We just spoke of Judy Bagwell with the Judy Bagwell on a pole match that they had in WCW when WCW was on the downfall. There was probably about 27 jokes you could make with this thing with Judy Bagwell and the stories that she's had, but we'll just let the lady rest and move on with that. You start getting on social media and making TikToks and you're going, oh, there's a joke in here somewhere, but I left it alone and we just moved on and send our best wishes to Buff and his family.
Yeah, definitely. Judy Bagwell, definitely more of a staple in the wrestling world than Trent's mom, who just drives her little buddies around in a minivan. So yeah, Judy Bagwell will be missed. Trent's mom, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. WWE, Brian, they're getting a little bit excessive with these name changes. Every time a wrestler comes in, WWE's got to change their name to try and make it their property, whether it's Keith Lee turning into the Bearcat or God, who knows?
Well, every other name they drop, Matt Riddle just has to be Riddle. They have to, just et cetera and so on.
Every name has to be changed, but there is a 205 Live and NXT referee named Chloe Christmas. And just over the past week, Brian, WWE changed her name to Paige. Her name was just Paige. No last name, anything else. Well, that kind of caused a bit of a ruckus since WWE superstar Paige is still a name that comes out of people's lips in the WWE world. And so Chloe Christmas has changed her name again. Why not just call her Christmas?
Chloe.
I don't know. Or Chloe. But she's no longer Paige. She is now Blair Baldwin. So Vince breaking his own rules there and giving her two names. But Chloe Christmas to Paige to now Blair Baldwin. I think they just pull names out of a hat.
Lady referee number 1.
Let's see here. NXT 2.0, their viewership is down once again. Not a big surprise to anybody there. The viewership was for their November 9th edition of NXT 2.0 came out, and they had a whopping 603,000 viewers.
Wow. So Vince got mad, yanked NXT away from Trips because he, quote, lost the Wednesday Wars. And, well, at least that's the rumors, but nonetheless, it's a story we'll stick with. And this is what we get in the 2.0 reboot. Cool.
Yeah, last week was already pretty rough. They had 631,000 people tune in, but only 603 this week, and that sets a new low, Brian. That is the new bottom, the bottom bedrock for viewership for NXT 2.0 so far. So next week we'll see if we can get it even lower, guys.
See if we can do our damnedest to drive this into the ground.
And finally, just a little tidbit here that piqued my interest. We finally know how long old the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, is going to be sticking around AEW. Bryan Danielson will be around till at least 2024 because he did reveal in an interview with the MMA Hour that he signed a 3-year contract with AEW. So Bryan Danielson he was on the brink of retirement. He didn't know if he wanted to wrestle anymore. He was going to go to Japan, and he saw them con dollar signs and signed a big 3-year deal with them.
3-year deal, but it'd be interesting to see the details of how many matches these 3-year deal entails, right? And what it'll be. I'm thinking he's going to be more of our main event pay-per-view type guy. He'll be on some Dynamite. You got to bring the viewership in, but he's going to be your not Brock Lesnar level, but your, old school Macho Man-ish type superstar, where he's going to be the guy, but not always at every single Rampage and every, wrestling every single week on Dynamite.
That's the best thing they could do. They're already doing their best to water down CM Punk and have him fight every bum in a 10-mile radius on every single episode of that AEW puts on. So hopefully they slow the roll on CM Punk, make him a little more special to see, and hopefully Bryan Danielson, since he is going to be sticking around till 2024, hopefully they find a way to kind of keep him
fresh,
an anticipated, attraction.
Yes, an attraction. 100% you have to have an attraction. And you're right, they're losing the gusto with Mr. Punk. We'll see if they can reboot that, but we'll talk about more about that in a little bit. Do you have any more news for us?
No, sir. That wraps
that was
for
it?
News this week. That was pretty slow news week.
Yeah, from around the world, that was the news. Eric's got just a little bit for you. Sabu's retiring. His back hurts. And they changed the referee's name 16 times. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the news. It is now time to play a little bit of our overrated, underrated. But also, we were introduced to a little new segment last week, and we're going to have a little bit of fun with a couple quick Would You Rathers, because they were fun. So before we kick
those were a lot of fun.
We're going to do this one. I just came up with 3 quick ones. I did some Googling. I looked around. I found some. I made some up. I made some into my own. I got 3 of them here. Would you rather fight 1 Brock Lesnar-sized hornswoggle or 10 hornswoggle-sized Brock Lesnars?
Oh, man. I think I would much rather fight 1 Brock Lesnar-sized hornswoggle. Say that 10 times fast. Because Hornswoggle, with his stubby legs, as long as he's shaped the same, waddles around like a toddler with a full diaper. And I feel with the right movements and a left leg out in the right area could trip old Hornswoggle up, and he'd be down for the count. He'd be on his back like a turtle.
I wanted to come up with some really goofy ones this week, so that was the first one. That one had me laughing. Number 2, would you rather take an RK out of nowhere every day for the rest of your life, or replace Orange Cassidy in every Shawn Michaels match, past, present, and future?
Oh my God. Ugh. As much as I despise Orange Cassidy, an RKO out of nowhere every single day for the rest of your life just sounds like torture and anxiety at a
Yeah,
constant pace.
I mean, it could be when you're getting up to go brush your teeth. It could be when you're going to bed. You could be feeding your dog. You could be getting out of the car at the gas station. You never know when this RKO out of nowhere is going to hit you.
Yeah, so this would be the only time, Brian, the one and only time that you'll hear me say I would much rather see Orange Cassidy main eventing WrestleManias and fighting The Undertaker in retirement matches.
Oh, shit. Oh, that had me dying. Would you rather join the NWO as a scrub jobber or be the leader of the Dark Order?
Big fish, small pond, small fish, big pond answer right here. In this case, usually I'm a big fish, small pond kind of guy, but I would die of embarrassment week after week if I had to be involved with the Dork Order. So give me Virgil's role in the NWO any day of the week, and I'm in.
All right. Well, that was our little would you rather. But now, the meat and potatoes. Here we go. It's time for
Let's play Overrated or Underrated with Eric Todd.
All right, overrated, underrated with Eric Todd. That is him. I'm going to throw him some questions. Overrated, underrated. We're going to stick with the Survivor Series theme this time. Overrated, underrated, the classic Survivor Series elimination match. Your 4-on-4 or old school, even 5-on-5 we saw at some points.
Brian, I think those are completely underrated. I wish they would come back on a normal, just a normal basis on the Survivor Series and actually have thought put into them like they were in the 80s and 90s there. These teams, every member of every team was somehow connected in some way. And nowadays, the Survivor Series are just strewn together like they're picking names out of a hat. And it's just complete trash nowadays. But yes, the original format, Survivor Series, 80s and 90s, it's unmatched and it's underrated.
Underrated for sure. I liked when they would match up, you would have Shawn Michaels on this side who was feuding with, Diesel. So then those are two. And then they'd have a tag team, the Nasty Boys and Legion of Doom, right? And those two are feuding. And then you'd have it down the line of and then you'd have a Mr. Perfect and a, Ricky Steamboat, I don't know. And that would be your two teams to build it up. So maybe not everybody was friends on the good guys, bad guys, but they all had opposing storylines going on, crisscross stories going on. That always made it interesting. But you're right, when they just put that shit in a hat and draw them out, that shit stank.
Yeah, at least back in the day, it was all heels on this side and all baby faces on this side. Nowadays, you don't know what's going on. It's just like, oh, these guys happen to wrestle on the same show.
Yeah. Overrated, underrated, The Undertaker's debut at Survivor Series.
Man, I'm going to go ahead and say that was underrated, Brian, just because that was a start of an amazing era, an amazing career. And if the people knew what this gimmicky tall bastard was going to become that night in 1991, they would have just shit their dipes right there on the spot. So Undertaker's debut is definitely underrated.
Yeah, I'd have to say the same thing. A little underrated. People didn't know what was happening. There was no long vignette teases, really. It was just like, hey, guess who I brought? Bong. Who the hell's this guy? So you didn't know what you were even witnessing at the moment.
Yeah, and just a little fun fact there. He did, before that debut, I believe, did a couple house shows and was brought out as Kane the Undertaker.
Oh, well, there you go. So the brother Kane lives on. Overrated, underrated, Goldberg squash match against Lesnar Survivor Series, maybe 2017, 2018. If you remember, it was a Goldberg squashed Brock in about 42 seconds, if that.
That piece of steaming hot garbage is definitely overrated. There's still people out there who are on Goldberg's old saggy nuts, just swinging around on him and just loving that Goldberg can go out there and still perform. And but him taking out Brock Lesnar in such a squash fashion was complete trash. We all know is just because Goldberg couldn't handle the match. The believability went right out the window, and you can't put you can put zero credibility into that match. So anyone who liked it's a piece of garbage, and it's overrated.
Hot garbage. We're going to do another debut here, overrated, underrated. The debut of Rocky Maivia at the Survivor Series.
Oh God, I thought you were going to say Rocky Romero here. Little foreshadowing for today's show. But we're talking about Rocky Maivia's debut, and what a complete goof, from his bouncy, springy hair to his little teal getup that he had going on there. Rocky wanted to be a babyface so bad. But if you get past the gimmicky, ultra clean babyface shtick that they were putting on that night when Rock debuted, you could see that he was a natural in that ring. So if you dug a little bit deeper, you would see that debut was, in fact, underrated.
Underrated again because we didn't know who this was and what it was going to be.
And just for the fact that his skill, his wrestling skill, his ring IQ was completely just overshadowed by how gimmicky and goofy he was.
Yeah, he was. He came out hands clapping and jumping around and just all smiles, baby, all smiles. Last one, can't talk Survivor Series without talking overrated or underrated. The Montreal Screwjob.
Oh man, that thing lives on in infamy, and it is still speculated on today. We've talked about this in past episodes where Scott Hall still says it's a work after all these years. You've had everyone come out, Vince, you've had Shawn Michaels come out, you've had Earl Hebner come out, you've had everyone and their mother come out and say it was a work, but there's still that it was shoot, but it's still speculated on that this was all planned in Vince's office. And for that reason alone, 24 years later, Montreal Screwjob is underrated.
Yeah, the stories that will live on forever and ever of it. Was it? Is it? Scott Hall has his that it was a work because, how's he going to let Brett write WCW on his TV? How's he going to, get a close-up shot, zoom in when he gets spit on? What Vince is, though, is in modern-day terms, a content creator.
Right.
So Vince wants content, and guess what? He still owns all of that, and people wanted to see all of that. He's like, let the cameras roll, get it all, because this is going to be legendary. So that's where I stand on it. I think it was all a shoot, but Vince said, I know this is going to be a hot mess. Get it rolling, because every news coverage, everybody's going to want this. It went viral before viral was viral. And that was my overrated, underrateds for you.
And you still ain't got that outro.
I can't find that same voice. It's going to drive me nuts, but I'll figure it out.
Any of our listeners out there, if you can sound like a bootleg Ben Bailey, just send us a tape.
Send us a tape. Drop us an email. Go to anchor.fm and leave us the KayFabe Smark and leave us a voicemail on there saying that was overrated or underrated with Eric Todd.
That's all we need from you, fans.
That's
all we need from you, chat.
That's all we need from you. Speaking of chat, we're streaming live on TikTok. We're streaming live on YouTube. Make sure you guys pop in the chat and pop up any questions or comments and concerns or whatever, and we'll holler at them as we're running down AEW and the go-home show that was Dynamite last night.
Dynamite 11-10, and the debut, Brian Rampa, a Rocky debut, AEW, AEW Dynamite debut of Rocky Romero is opening the show.
Yeah, I knew you didn't know shit from Shinola about Mr. Rocky Romero and Rapungi 3K, and yeah, I know you didn't know anything about him. He's New Japan guy. He's a good wrestler. But nobody really knows him for what he is in the States. Your indie geeks are gonna know what he's about. Your New Japan hardcores are gonna know what he's about. But he's Rocky Romero. He does a lot. He does good commentary too. He did a lot of commentary for New Japan, so he would pop on the mic and do the English commentary. I enjoy Rocky. I'm not, I didn't die. I didn't go, oh my God, Rocky Romero's in the States. They've opened the golden door or whatever they call it. Like, I don't care. I don't care that much. It was cool to see him there, make a career, make some money. God bless.
Yeah, I got to hand it to the guy. I had no idea who he was. I don't think I've ever even heard his name before, Brian, but him and Bryan Danielson put on a hell of a match here with tons of holds, reversals, submissions, and this wasn't like some of those matches over in NXT where you would really get the Thatch type matches there that really got pretty boring, and you just ended up just kind of sitting there with your chin in your palm just waiting for it to be over. This thing extremely technical, but they kept you completely engaged at the same time.
Yeah, they told a good story. It wasn't your Cody Rhodes style match where a guy like Bryan Danielson is not going to lose before he goes into face Miro at Full Gear in 4 days, 3 days, whatever it is now. Not gonna happen. Sorry, Rocky. Thanks for coming to the States. Wonderful working with an AEW, but we're not having our new top guy lose in a championship before his championship tournament match, just in the finals at a pay-per-view. Ain't happening. But they told a good story, and Rocky got to get his shit in, and Bryan Danielson comes out, looking good. So.
Yeah, I think that was the point of this thing. Get a little exposure on Rocky there, put him in there with somebody that he's worked with plenty of times. They've got great chemistry together. And there's a couple things about this match, Brian, even though it's technically sound and very engaging. A couple small things bothered me in here. Bryan Danielson always has had a tendency to, even though he's one of the best technical wrestlers out there, he's fantastic at keeping the crowd emotionally involved and the ring psychology. It's still always in his head that he wants to do goofy indie shit once in a while. And the minute Bryan Danielson was standing outside the ring face to face with Orange Cassidy and participating in the goddamn pockets gimmick, my blood was boiling, because I knew it was just going to be some goofy ass spot. And lo and behold, Rocky Romero dives through ropes, landing on a patiently waiting Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, I mean, it happened. We knew it was going to happen. Does it need to happen? No. At least, though, in the dive spot was set up where he was at least distracted and not, like, oh, I'm so woozy, I'll just stand right here while you go to get ready and do your rigmarole to give me a tope suicida. So I can give him that it was a different way to get set up to catch a dive, but nonetheless, Pockets gimmick is here to stay. You got to let it go because I don't think we can change it.
No, the crowd was absolutely eating it up, but it's just logically. Bryan Danielson's in there with one of his old rivals, so to speak, but for some reason, he finds it necessary to just stand face to face and watch Orange Cassidy stick his hands in his pockets. It didn't make any sense, but
I'm not going to lie, like, I loved the pocket gimmick for a while. I thought it was funny. It was like a way of saying fuck you without saying fuck you. It was different. But it's been just shoved and done over and over and over in the hands and the gimmick and the pockets. And the character has not evolved in 2 years. We've talked about this. And this isn't an Orange Cassidy break. We can't sit here and bullshit Orange Cassidy. He's not even in the goddamn match. But, it's dead. And they quit beating a dead horse.
Right. But yeah, we'll move on from that. Another thing, we saw a running sliced bread come from Rocky Romero, and I actually liked the way that move looked until I heard excrement refer to it as sliced bread. Where I understand excrement doesn't make up the names of these moves, but there's got to be another name for it. Why is everything got to be some goofy ass indie name? Every move's
got to, yeah, right. Everything's got to be something. He said, I can't think of it. Maybe it'll come to me when we go through the matches. But there was another one that he threw out earlier that was just like, or later on in the show, that was like, where did you get this, and what does that even mean? But I don't know what. I agree with you. Just call them a match. Call the move a move and move on. But it's got to be this thing of then he knows like the history of it. That's the flying bread cutter 98 that was invented by Tojo Mahani in the Tokyo Dome in 19. You're like, who cares? Call the match.
Right. Poor JR, man. To have to suffer through sitting next to this fucking amateur. It just drives me nuts. But here's another example right here. Rocky Romero, again, great technical wrestler, can pull an armbar out of absolute anything. Any situation he's in, he can pull an armbar out of it. But Excalibur can't call it an armbar. He can call it an armbar once, but the next time it has to be a cross arm breaker, and the time after that, it has to be a Juji Kutami. And I didn't even make that one up. You really called an armbar a Juji Kutami.
Now
fucking armbar.
The only thing I can think maybe they're veering away from the name armbar is that but staying consistent nonetheless. Like, right, he still called it 62 different things. But an armbar in MMA is a finisher. You get hit with an armbar.
Utami's not a finisher.
And I'm saying, like, people, the second you get, like, the second your arm goes fully extended, people are tapping before they can crank on it, right? In wrestling, You'll get your arm cranked on in an armbar for, 12 minutes so you can catch your breath and then stand up and throw a right hook. So, maybe by changing the name, they can avoid the comparisons between the two, or excrement's an idiot. I don't know which way to put this.
Yeah, I've bitched about this in previous shows that why does an armbar last 1 second in UFC but 35 seconds in WWE? And yeah, this was just another example of that. Bryan Danielson ends up getting the win. No big surprise there with some sort of leg submission here. I didn't catch whatever excrement called this one.
Oh, that was the Tequila Sunrise. And if we remember back to our WCW days, our good friend Conan, a.k.a. K-Dog, Orale, Arriba la Raza, he would finish you off with a Tequila Sunrise. Let me speak on this.
But in an era where one of the biggest moves in professional wrestling right now is the Panama Sunrise, why mix things and muddle things up there? Especially when the moves look nothing alike. I understand when Britt Baker does the Panama Sunrise, we can call it the Pittsburgh Sunrise. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just nitpicking here, but a fucking leg submission should not share any terms or names with that move Adam Cole finishes people off.
Yeah, I mean, I've also seen the Tequila Sunrise also be called a single leg Boston Crab. So, I mean, looks exactly the same to me.
It's just the era of excrement is what we're dealing with here. The Inner Circle come out, and they're on their way to the ring. to chat us up, but they are immediately jumped by America's top team. Dan Lambert's whole squad out there just beating the living crap out of the inner circle here. And we end up finishing up this segment with Dan Lambert power bombing Chris Jericho off the top rope and through a table. Lo and behold, with a little bit of help from old Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page here.
Yes. I was gonna shit on this when I'm watching it. I'm like, this is gonna be terrible. Jericho didn't help, which was good. He started to like cradle the back of Dan Lambert's head, like interlocking his fingers behind his head, and you're going, well, why would you do the camera's too tight on that. Then he lets go of that, and they never really sit him on Dan Lambert's, solo. So it all worked out that I can buy that this went the way it went down, right? It would be because Dan Lambert didn't support the weight of Chris Jericho. He didn't manhandle Chris Jericho. Technically, two and a Dan Lambert power bombed him through the table. So I can buy it. It's good heel heat. It went over fine for AEW style. My question is do you think these guys are nervous to get in the ring with these UFC MMA fighters? Like, can they get in there and throw a working punch?
Yeah, that is something that I'm anticipating seeing this Saturday night. Just to see how smooth or how sloppy this could possibly go. But as for this segment right here, I really wasn't mad at it. They did it right. I wanted to show that you just got to get that heel heat, showing that Dan Lambert's really going to lay it into him, and which we know is ridiculous, but the way they did it right.
Yeah, it could have went terribly wrong. And this isn't like AEW could have went terribly wrong. They could have AEW'd all over this, but WWE could have easily screwed this up too and really made it look stupid. So this isn't just like a pick on AEW moment. This is a pick on anybody. This is a real sensitive thing in this promo, this here to get that heel heat, and they did it right. There's no way to do it perfect. They got out of it clean, we should say.
Yeah. Didn't come out bad. So, yeah, from us, this is a compliment. This is a thumbs up.
This is a dub.
Next on our agenda here, we had a 6-woman tag match. We had Britt Baker, Rebel, and their enforcer, Jamie Hayter, taking on Tay Conti, Thunder Rosa, and Anna Jay. And a key quote from Excrement in this one that I just absolutely fell in love with was, Paul Turner has just lost control of this matchup. And
I was looking for my button.
Turner's a moron.
And it's just why that stuck out to me so much is because Paul Turner never has any control in any match that he is officiating. So just for Excrement to point out that he's losing control of this matchup of 615-pound girls just cracked me the hell up.
That wasn't 615-pound girls. That was 115. We got to have commas. This match was, for the most part, done very well. There was a lot of people. It was AEW. They love their 6-man, 6-woman tag matches, multiple, 6, 10, 15 tag person matches. Your mid-carders got to show off, and you've got to show the match that's going to happen between Britt and Chris Statlander. Was it Chris No, not Chris Statlander. I'm sorry, I got my peoples confused. Tay Conti, or who the hell's fighting Britt?
Tay Conti.
Yeah, sorry. I got
now I'm struggling. Now who's Ruby Soho.
Ruby Soho. Yeah.
Statlander.
They had a promo here in a little bit. So you got to see them square off against each other. So it was good. And I thought they worked their way through it very well. It was all about the ending, this whole match. We can agree on that, right? That this whole match was based upon the ending. So was there any spots in here, anything you want to knock around before we talk about the ending?
You made a really good point for the hand they were dealt. They did pretty well with it. Shit on me all you want, but AEW doesn't have the strongest women's division here, and most of these women were mid card level in the AEW women's division. So having 6 of them involved in one match could have been a complete shit show, but they did rather well with it. There were a few points where it was just pure chaos going in, and that was just so that everybody can get their shit in, everybody can look good.
Got to get your shit in. Don't want to look like a silly goose.
Jamie Hayter at one point, I'm not sure who she delivered this move to, but she gave an ugly looking backbreaker that looked like it might have hurt a bit. But Hayter got her payback. She was standing on the outside of the ring, and old Thunder Rosa comes flying off that or dropping off the top rope. She didn't jump into a cross body. Jamie Hayter started taking her flat back bump as Thunder Rosa was hitting that cross body, and that just looked absolutely horrible. I mean, it it looked real, but I would not want to be Jamie Hayter in that spot, man. She took every ounce of Thunder Rosa's weight on her ribs and hit the floor at the same time. It looked rough.
That's always good. Makes for a nice long career. Let's call up Sabu and see how he feels.
Tay Conti, she's pretty green. She's rather new to the wrestling business. But she looked absolutely awesome in this match. She was just full of spunk. She was bouncing off the ropes everywhere. Her moves were looking clean. Nothing involving her was too convoluted. And they ended up even giving Tay Conti the pin on Rebel there. And having Britt Baker just look on, not wanting to get involved, basically throwing her sidekick to the wolves.
And that was what it was all about, is for Tay to get the dub, to go into the match hot, but not get it over top of the champion. And by having it go over top of her, you can be like, so what? You pinned her. Who cares? You didn't pin me. I'm the champ. Gave Britt that dirty heel tactic, grabbing her belt, hugging it, and walking backwards up the ramp. It was also perfect, and it just makes you want to tune in. This one did a good job of making you want to tune in on Saturday and see what's happening. They told a story, and now you want to watch it finish because Tay was fired up, right?
Yeah.
She was fired up. She's screaming. She's doing the old around the waist thing there, doing the belt thing around the waist. That's my title. I'm coming for that. She was all fired up. So, hey, let's see what they can do. Let's see if they can carry it on. And I think they can and put on a good match because Britt, she's not dumb. Just take your time. You've told a story and just work with it.
Yeah, that is actually one of my anticipated matches for this weekend is to see this Tay Conti Britt Baker thing. Like I said, Tay Conti is a huge up and comer, tons of potential. Britt Baker has come an extremely long way in the past 2 years, and the psychology's all there between these two. Everything seems to be falling into place and being done the right way. So yeah, that'll be a great match.
Firing on all gears, all cylinders, full gear. Here we go. All right, what's the next match we're going to chat it up about here?
Next match on our card here is Anthony Bowens taking on Jungle Boy. Anthony Bowens coming down to the ring with his partner Max Caster busting the freestyle John Cena-esque raps. And
are you over these yet?
My God, they are just he's going out there trying to get shock value, but now we know that Tony Khan oversees all the raps. They're not spontaneous or anything like that, and it's just they're just coming off lamer and lamer every week with old Max Caster. It's time to drop that gimmick.
Yeah, if you can't have fun with it, and you can't push the boundaries, then you got to leave this alone. How many moments can you get in keeping it PG, keeping it G?
Yeah, little weird moment with Max Caster saying one of his lines to Jungle Boy is, "I wouldn't kiss you and you're my fetish." And the fact that Anthony Bowens actually is openly gay was, I don't know, it's kind of weird having Max Caster deliver a line about man-on-man kissing with old Anthony Bowens standing right there.
And that wasn't even shock value. That was just awkward.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And And then Anthony. Oh wait, and then the other guy. What's the other guy's name? Sorry, who did the rapping? I get
Max
these-
Caster did
Yes,
the rapping. Bowens did
Bowens.
the wrestling.
Yeah, and then Bowens grabbed the mic, screamed something.
Yeah, I didn't even put it in my notes because it was just some awkward,
Unaudible
intelligible.
moment, and I didn't understand what was happening. But other than that, yeah, then they got down to wrestling.
Yeah, and I think this was another one where the whole point of this match was the ending. These guys aren't fighting this weekend. Jungle Boy's got someone else on his card there, so I don't understand why Anthony Bowens and Jungle Boy are in a match at this point. Nothing really special went on in this thing. Jungle Boy did come out looking really good, ended up getting the win with the snare trap, but then the afterbirth happened, and I think that was the point of this thing.
Yeah, they could have just easily have done this. There was a reason to put Jungle Boy in the ring so that Bobby Fish can come out and get involved. That was it. They have the old Fish Man come out.
Yeah, old Fish Boy comes out, fish legs, comes out, attacks Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy's immediately saved by his homeboys, Luchasaurus and Christian Cage. And that just kind of them three standing in the ring just give us our preview of what's happening Saturday. Luchasaurus, Christian Cage, and Jungle Boy taking on the Elite, right?
Yeah. And then we get a little backstage segment in a little bit here with Bobby Fish and the Elite. So we continue that. That story keeps growing ever so much, and we'll move on in this this show here. We're just zooming right along through this Dynamite this week.
Yeah, it wasn't a very packed show. It was, again, like we said last week should have been the go-home show for sure. This thing was just kind of getting people on TV and adding little details here and there.
Yeah, they didn't leave much to unpack. There wasn't a lot of, hey, what does that mean? There was a lot of, like, black or white. All right, da-da-da, ba-ba-da. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going here to go there. There's not a lot of, well, what if they could have? It was, nope. These people are fighting, and you'll see them fight on Saturday.
Right. We get a package to hype up the Eddie Kingston and CM Punk conflict that's been going on there. And I did not watch last week's Rampage, but I do have it DVR'd, and I'm going to have to go back and watch this segment in full. Eddie Kingston is a fucking goat of promos, Brian.
Eddie Kingston can kill it. We know CM Punk can talk and handle his own, especially even off cuff, right? We've seen it. We've heard it. It's fine. There almost feels like there's legitimate heat between these two.
They make it seem so real when they're in the ring shit talking each other that this is actually in front of the cameras on TV, so you're inclined to think it's all worked, but this feels more real than the Charlotte Flair Becky Lynch conflict going on over in WWE. Eddie and CM Punk they make you believe 100% that they fucking hate each other.
Yeah, and then AEW did a good job. I always compliment WWE and their packages, right? Put the package together, and AEW did a damn good job on this one of putting the package together. They had footage from, IWA Mid-South where CM Punk was the guy down there in that small indie thing, and then a young Eddie Kingston in there, and they were talking about how Eddie Kingston was so young and CM Punk was the top guy in that era of that moment in that place, and Eddie Kingston would carry bags and do whatever he could do to get on shows. And then CM Punk became CM Punk, and then Eddie Kingston just recently became Eddie Kingston.
Right. So yeah, this obviously is, if not the most anticipated match coming up this Saturday. It is definitely up there.
This is a big one for me because the way they've told the story, and they've done so well with it. Again, just don't rush anything and take your time. Take your time until you've told the story to get me to watch it. Now tell the story in the ring, and then let's do your job. So, because that's where we can mess things up. Anybody in pro wrestling has messed these up before, where they draw you in for 2-3 weeks, and then you go, here it is. That was it. That's what we got. What the hell was that nonsense? So I'm ready to see a decently put on match with a good story involved in it. That's all you want in life.
Right. Definitely highly anticipated. Now, what is not highly anticipated is Wardlow versus Wheeler Yuta, Brian. I know Wheeler Yuta's not fighting this weekend. What about Wardlow? Does Wardlow have a match?
Well, I mean, MJF does against Darby Allin, so usually he's standing outside the ring.
Okay. Well, I just don't understand why this match is on TV. I'm just being frank here.
You be Frank, I'll be Brian. I think, I don't know why. I think it was another reason for Tony Schiavone to say Okada's name one more time on English AEW TV. He said Okada probably about 96 times during the first match with Bryan Danielson and Rocky Romero, because Rocky Romero's in Chaos. That's the New Japan clique over there. And then they put in Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends, and what was the guy you just said? Yuji, or what was his name?
Wheeler Yuta.
Wheeler Yuta. I forgot the first part of it. And they wanted to talk more about Chaos and how Okada knows what he's doing. Yeah, we know, if you know who Okada is, he's the GOAT over there in Japan. It is what it is. Are they planting a seed and teasing that we're going to see an Okada make his way to the States, a very rare appearance, and then be on TV? I don't know what they said it probably 200 times. It felt like, it's like, okay, shut up, we get it, Tony.
Oh yeah, saying Okada's name is Viagra for Tony Schiavone there. Every time he says it, he gets a little chub in his pants.
He thinks it's like Candyman. If he says Okada's his name 3 times in the mirror, he's going to show up.
But as far as this match goes, we can get back to the action here. This match was pointless. Wardlow got to show off his power a little bit, hitting 4 consecutive power bombs. Wheeler Yuta got to show that he's a complete goof by trying to trampoline off the second rope there for a back elbow, and instead just stumbling around like a drunk toddler and looking like a complete asshole.
Yeah, who would have thought a 180-pound guy taking on a 300-pound guy is going to be a real barn burner of a match?
Especially with someone as green as Yuta. I don't know what his experience is over in New Japan or wherever the hell he was wrestling, but in this match, he absolutely stunk. Even though this was just a squash match, Wheeler Yuta found a way to stink it up. But I was glad to see this thing end early with Wardlow hitting that rising knee strike, and it was a rapidy-dappity for Wheeler Yuta here.
Wheeler Yuta's green. Green as pig shit. Yuta green. Mita green.
Yuta is as green as Muda's mist.
Fuck yeah. Double guns, Todd. Double guns. Okay, we move on. Oh, we're derailing here. We're a little slap happy tonight. Folks, bear with us. We're talking wrestling. Make sure you guys subscribe to all the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and hit us up on YouTube and all of the social media platforms. All right, let's keep going.
And for some reason, we got an afterbirth on this thing. Wheeler Yuta just got the living shit kicked out of him by Wardlow here. But Matt Hardy, who's been hanging out in the audience all night, his buddies Isaiah Cassidy and The Blade from Butcher and Blade fame go ahead and make their way down to the ring and beat the living shit out of Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta. Matt Hardy sticks Orange Cassidy's head into a chair and delivers a twist of fate, and that looked very awkward. I don't know how that was supposed to look, but it just looked like awkward as shit.
Yeah, he's like, oh shit, I actually got to go through with this now, and I got to protect the guy too. We'll just do this kind of weird and sideways, and it'll look goofy. This Matt Hardy thing, I don't get where they're going with it and what they're doing. He has been 3 different characters since he came in, and I would have rather saw him stick with his delete character. His, like, he but then he became like a stab at Vince McMahon or something. I'm not sure where they're going with this, like a new version of the $1 Million Man.
Yeah, and Tony Khan's just making himself look more like shit because he did an interview this week where he discussed how he books a show, where he'll do like a rough draft and send it to QT Marshall, and they'll work together and come up with a TV formatted script or whatever. And then Tony Khan will have hundreds of conversations with talent throughout the week to tweak things or get other segments in. But Tony Khan was adamant to say everything goes through him. What? When he was having this conversation with Matt Hardy, what made Tony Khan say, that's a great idea. We're going to give that 15 minutes of our 2-hour show.
Yeah, like, where does don't talk shit like you're the guy. Like, this is all me. Amazing, right? And then go, boo. What about this spot, that spot, and those minutes over there? Why'd you do that?
We're going to risk breaking this guy's neck for a goofy gimmick here. I know these guys are pros, but sticking your head in a chair and falling down could be bad news, no matter how you cut it.
No matter which way you slice it, that's a dangerous shit. And Matt Hardy's already batting 1,000 for doing dangerous stuff on AEW TV, so I would not trust him with my neck in a chair.
No, not at all. Moving on to another pointless match here, unless you were really dying to see Lio Rush. Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty taking on Michael Jackson, pale skin ass Dante Martin. Dante Martin looked like a fucking lighthouse out there. That motherfucker needs to get in a tanning bed. Oh, Dante Martin.
I don't know why that made me laugh so hard.
I mean, 80s and 90s, every wrestler had a good tan. And obviously the African-American wrestlers naturally have a good tan. But Dante Martin is awkward as fucking... He's awkward as the fucking taking a piss in the troughs at Joe Louis Arena already. And he's paler than fucking gold dust at the same time. He just looks like a complete asshole when he's on TV.
Shit. This looks like a complete ass.
I don't know. I hated seeing Dante Martin out there. Him and his brother, they're talented. I'll give them that. But hit a tan in bed, Dante. Anyway, we got Lee Moriarty and Dante Martin starting things off here. And these two, this match, Brian, just pissed me off. These two put on this goddamn Cirque du Soleil routine that looked so rehearsed. It looked so convoluted and contrived. Every bit of this routine that they put on was planned, all down to Dante goading Moriarty into leaning up so he could punch him or whatever. It just was so unnatural and so rehearsed, but the crowd just erupted. And just however many people were in that arena, 12,000 nuts got busted at the same exact time when they did this contrived ass routine.
Yeah, this is it's been a wacky shit. This show was a piece of shit.
This match was a piece of shit. Lio Rush, This was his debut match in AEW, at least on Dynamite anyway. And he is just bouncing around like he just snorted a freshly opened 8-ball. And he is just all over the place, making no sense. And I don't know. I don't get it. But this crowd, Brian, were just over the moon watching this match. And I don't get it. None of this made sense. It was just complete garbage.
Yeah, Leo was on his own game here. He went into business for himself, basically, in this match, and he turned it on 10. He went hot. I don't know if it was a screw you to WWE and NXT and Triple H for all that they did and didn't do for him, but yeah, he was on fire trying to show off a bit, but at the end of the day, it was, you're going, it's Leo Rush. What's he going to do? Come over and take over the company? Is he going to be the new guy? I don't buy it.
Yeah, I don't know what he was trying to do, but at the end of the day, he's Leo Rush, and nobody really cares.
100%. Sorry, Leo. Make me care, but I don't think it's going to happen. We'll continue on and move on. That happened. That match happened. That match happened well over halfway through the show.
Yeah. This was leading into the main event type match right here. It was fun to see Tony Schiavone get under Excrement's skin a little bit here. We got Leo Rush doing double dives. He dived out of one side of the ring onto one fella and then got back in and dived out of the other side of the ring onto the other opponent. And Excrement just called them dives. And then we hear Tony Schiavone go, stereo.
Stereo. It's like, I remember laughing at that too. I was like, oh, Tony. You're either a mark or you're taking a stab at him. I'm not sure which way it's going.
I couldn't tell what he was doing, but it was funny either way. And Dante Martin ends up getting the pin in this match, getting the dub after hitting a sloppy-ass moonsault press.
And there you go. And there you go.
Dante is as green as he is pale. And moving on to our actual... This was not the main event of the show, Brian, but it was our final wrestling match of the show.
There you go. That's where they caught you on this one.
I thought this was the main event. I didn't understand because neither one of these guys are really title contenders for the AEW championship, but time-wise, this looked like this was going to be the final wrestling match. They put on a hell of a performance, and I am talking about Pac and Dax Harwood.
Yeah, it was always weird. I'm never a fan of splitting up a tag team and they didn't split them up, but separating a tag team and putting them in a singles match. So I wasn't sure what the reason was. Did they say why it was just Dax in here and what Cash was doing? Or they just said it's a singles match, just deal with it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. It was an AEW.
I'm as confused as you are.
AEW injected moment here. So I'm never a fan of that so much because you know they're not going to continue on to be this hot singles tag team or singles wrestler while they're in a tag team. That doesn't work out. You can't, live two alternate lives. So that's why I just don't care for it. But there's other people that they could have put him in, but I know they were. So, and then also you've got Pat going on in this to wrestle in the pay-per-view, right? In a singles match. And there's a lot going on in this match. It was a good match, but the reason for it, I couldn't wrap my head around. As long-winded as what I'm trying to get out here is I couldn't wrap my head around why these guys were fighting.
Exactly. FTR is in this tag team title tournament or something, aren't they? Or something of this.
Are they putting up the tag team titles against the Lucha Bros?
I don't know, Brian. I am so confused at this point. I thought FTR was in some sort of title contention. They've been talking a lot of schmack about getting those titles back.
Oh, maybe.
But I don't understand what Pac. I don't know. But the only point I saw in this match is Tony Khan wanted to put an actual wrestling match in this thing.
Oh yeah. Now if we strip all of that back, these two know what they're doing.
Right. And maybe these were his only two guys for an option of, you know what, we've had a lot of goofy shit written into this show. Let's put on a real wrestling match and break it down to brass tacks. Dax Harwood and Pac, fantastic chemistry. And this thing was just, it was a wrap. It was an amazing match. And these two are clearly two of the most talented guys in the company.
Yeah, you just have to know how to. You just need more of them to put together, though.
Right.
Or put them with a, put Pac against an Orange Cassidy, but let Pac be the guy. Let him call and lead the match. Put Dax and, even Cash Wheeler with whoever else. I can't think of another tag team off the top of my head, the fucking Best Friends, and let them lead the match. Don't let the Best Friends lead the match. Let the guys that know what they're doing lead the match. Or get more guys that can handle their business and put multiple guys in the ring together that can, know what the fuck to do.
Yeah, but there's a lot of different branches that can come off of this tree here. But to just focus in on this match here, all the reversals, there were tons of reversals, there were tons of holds, there were tons of moves. Everything just seemed so natural between these two guys. And at one point, this crowd confuses the absolute living shit out of me, because this crowd that goes bananas for Leo Rush doing 100 pointless moves, goes bananas for Orange Cassidy doing fake kicks and sticking his hands in his pockets, goes bananas to see the Young Bucks do 360 super kicks in one match. Start chanting in a Dax Harwood Pac match, "This is wrestling."
That boggles your mind because so they know what wrestling is, but they cheer and pop for the other shit.
Right. So they recognize that this is a clinic. This is what wrestling is. But they're so ADD, squirrel-minded, that they're just like, oh my God, flips. Oh, look. Tope suicidas. Stereo.
Yeah, you know what? Everybody talks about how WWE is sports entertainment, right? And that kind of takes the shit. Everybody shits on WWE for that. But when you look at it and you boil it back, AEW and the stuff that they do, Orange Cassidy is sports entertainment. If you want to separate it. But this is supposed to be the group of people that hate sports entertainment. And
that's what I'm getting at.
And the Bucks have taken athleticism, the Lucha Bros have taken athleticism and the ability to do things and made it sports entertainment.
All sports entertainment. Just everybody's cooperating. It's all just gymnastics, and you can tell by looking at it that it's scripted. That by definition is sports entertainment.
Everybody wants to hear Journey sing. You want to hear, Don't Stop Believing, so you can sing along, and that's what, a Young Bucks match is. That's what a Lucha Bros match is. Everybody wants to be a part of the Cerro Miet, right? Everybody wants to scream that. Everybody wants to yell super kick party. Everybody wants to know, here it comes. Here's the best part. I guess it's worked. It's made them a lot of money.
Yeah. So
but don't say you hate sports entertainment and you're not going to be sports entertainment when you're entertaining people with sports.
And just the fact that the crowd does recognize that this is an amazing match and this is wrestling makes me just even more angry that the Young Bucks buried FTR for a solid year. Young Bucks, of course, wanted to be in the spotlight. They wanted to be the best tag team in the world. And so they buried the shit out of FTR, let them wrestle once every 2 months or so on national TV. And this match proves right here that the fans know what wrestling is, and the fans know that FTR are better pure wrestlers than the Young Bucks.
Oh, well, yeah. No question there. The Young Bucks sell rock and roll, if you will. They sell an
Right.
image and an attitude. FTR sells wrestling. Image and attitude sells more T-shirts. Sorry, but nonetheless, it's just the way it goes.
But yeah, we got off on a tangent there. But both guys in this match, another thing that helped was they were both selling their asses off for each other. At one point, I saw Dax sell a super kick, Brian. Nobody sells super kicks anymore.
No, they're handed out like candy at trick or treat. You just take one and you move on. Take one and move on.
Dax sold a super kick, and that just my respect for him. It's already maxed out, but it broke the ceiling. And my respect for Dax Harwood for actually selling a super kick just yeah, blew my mind.
Yeah, super kicks. As I shared a TikTok with you earlier this week, and it was Triple H and Shawn and the Undertaker sitting around talking about wrestling and the retirement match with Shawn and Taker, and Shawn goes, "Well, I'm glad to see that my finish has stayed protected over all these years." And Triple H said, "Your finish is now the DDT of the new era."
And it comes right after the lockup.
That was pretty funny.
And there was a goofy spot in this one. And usually when FTR, I'm so protective over FTR. When they participate in something goofy that doesn't make sense, I try to find an excuse for it of, oh, well, they're trying to appease somebody or something like that. But no, we just get a full-on catch me spot. So Pac could dive onto Dax, and Dax had to wait an eternity for old Pac to get his shit together and dive through them ropes.
Yeah, timing is everything when you're on live TV. So you just need to get them a little tighter. Or the improvising is always a scared. Like, eventually you should have just moved, right? In my eyes, I've never been in the ring.
Right.
I've watched a lot of wrestling.
He should have saw it coming from a mile away. It was a good 10 seconds. He was out there just watching Pac.
Right, so he should have moved and just got in the ring and said, well, "You're too slow, you fucker. We'll do it later, or we'll do it again." But like, it's not happening now. That was the only thing that I think they could change and get used to in AEW and even WWE to an extent. WWE just has better production where they don't show the guy standing there.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know he's standing there waiting, but it's just the camera angles are so precise with WWE. This just puts it right there on Front Street that
Here it is.
is.
He's going to stand here until he gets jumped on.
We get a sheer drop brainbuster off the top rope from Pac onto Dax Harwood, and man, that thing looked rough. It looked stiff.
That shit looked dangerous.
Dangerous is the perfect word for that.
Yeah, when I saw that and then they showed the replay, I was like, they didn't botch it. It's what they went for, but God bless it, I ain't going for that. Hey, do you want to do this? No.
No, I think I'll pass. A pretty cool finish on this match, too. A little back and forth, couple pin attempts here and there. Pac ends up getting Dax into a backslide for a 2 count, and your brain automatically completes the sentence there. You see Dax get out of the backslide, you're expecting something from Dax, but Pac just puts him right into a shoulder submission. Dax with that worked over shoulder there didn't want to risk any damage to it. At least that's what they wrote into the story. Taps immediately, and that just adds some spontaneity to this match, and it added some realism, like showing that these guys, certain guys, can book their own matches and make them look believable.
Right. That was what you should get when you get into an armbar, right? You shouldn't be able to lay there. You should go, "Whoop, I'm out." And then Pac sells it by not letting go, and he's tapping and And he's tapping. Pac is holding it in. Dax is trying to get out of there. And who comes to save the day? But none other.
Cash Wheeler pops in out of nowhere, seemingly out of nowhere, makes the save
And
for his partner Dax here.
dropping forearms on Pac. Pac and Dax is tongue-tying me for some reason. I keep wanting to say like Pax or I don't know. So anyways, Pac is just catching hot forearms and elbows from your boy Cash Wheeler. And and then Tully Blanchard gets involved, because he's the third man. He can't just stand there. He's got to get involved and hold hands and help defeat the evil Pac for taking advantage of FTR.
Yeah. How dare he sink that move in and just hold it and cinch it in there. Cash Wheeler, his work, I don't know if it's stiff or just clean, but either way, it looks believable as shit. Lights go out, and it turns into a fucking free-for-all, Brian, because now we got Ideolo and Malachi Black. They're in there helping beat the shit out of Pac. And then from every aisle in the arena, we've just got baby faces galore. We've got the Lucha Brothers in street clothes. We've got Cody Rhodes. You name a baby face, he was down there.
Yeah. Took too long for Cody to get down from the stands. For some reason, he was getting popcorn on the concourse, and he had to run down through the crowd. It's just set up too dramatic, and the timing was slow to get to the ring, to get anything going. Why Ideolo and Malachi show up to an already beat up and demolished Pac? Like, what was that proving? And then start kicking him some more. To have the baby faces run in to really do nothing, it was all kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, just to get people on TV. Just be like, hey, by the way, some of these guys are fighting on Saturday.
Really, what I think would have been better is if this was the last thing on TV, and that's how they went off.
At this point, I thought that's how we were going off because
like it would have been like an old school WCW feel with even cut it off before Cody gets to the ring. Cody's coming down hot. Lucha Bros are coming out hot with their chair. They're like, I can't believe this is going down. Make sure you turn into full gear. It's gone. What happened? Turn into Rampage to see what happened. They can tease you out for the last show before that. So,
yeah, the brawl's going on. You got JR and Tony Schiavone running down all these matches that are happening on Saturday. We're going to have so-and-so or Rampage, whatever they're hyping up. It just felt like that was the logical ending to the show. I tap on my DVR there and realize we still got 12 minutes left in this thing. So I'm like, well, what the hell are they going to end on?
yeah.
And you know what they ended on, Brian?
A contract signing.
A goddamn contract signing.
I mean, even WWE doesn't do this. WWE puts these early, maybe mid-show, cool-down segments, if you will. Every contract signing's been a debacle and nonsense, and something's going to happen, right? Somebody's going to twist or turn or do something. So it was a waiting to see when it's going to happen. And obviously it did.
The amount of logic that Tony Khan and AEW just throw out the window is unmatched. We have seen it probably 40 to 50 times since AEW's come in, where just in the middle of Dynamite, right after a conflict, you'll see Cody Rhodes spit in somebody's face or whatever, and immediately Tony Schiavone goes, Tony Khan has made it official. These two are fighting next week. But in this instance, we have to bring out a 20-foot buffet table and cover it in a tablecloth and have Tony Schiavone out there and
have
bring out these contracts.
Leather desk chairs and the whole nine. Just like when Cody Rhodes all of a sudden had to have a weigh-in.
Yeah, exactly.
Now there's weight. We just had Wardlow take on some scrub. I forget his name now. Yuta Wheeler, not Mita Wheeler, and and there's no weight discrepancy there. They didn't have to weigh in. So I'm with you. These contract signings are nonsense because they just wing matches off at the drop of a dime But now this one's got to be official. We got to sit here and then they got to have their quippy comments back and forth. It's like a bad Jerry Springer episode.
And it's just lazy booking here. It's taking an old trope from old wrestling, the contract signing thing, and whatever. If you do it, if you want to keep it consistent, all your big matches have them sign contracts or whatever, but you can't just have the booker just on a whim the minute he sees two guys sneer at each other that the match is official without any contracts, without any negotiations, anything like that.
While one guy's still laying unconscious in the ring, they're like, "That's it, next week."
Yeah, the guy's not even there mentally. But if they want to go for a real sports feel, a real fight feel, why not have just the little press conferences or the nose to noses like a UFC does? All this shit talking that Kenny Omega and Adam Page do, this entire thing could have took place without the unnecessary contract signing.
Oh, 100%. And it could have been done very well. Again, I like social media. I've talked about this before, and I really don't think that people that they like AEW is not using it correctly. This is a contract signing, is a live stream on their YouTube channel. That's where it's done at. You do it on a Thursday at 2:00 in the afternoon, and you can fake obviously the whole thing's a work. I'm fine with that. But just go work it and use it for YouTube, and then it can be clipped out, or do it and push somebody to your, if it's a Twitch channel or something. But that's where this stuff is done at, and make the weigh-ins, and this off gimmicky weird stuff can be done there. It's another way to draw people into your social and to make things go viral. I mean, look what Adam Cole and Pat McAfee did.
Yeah, and another comparison, which was also a work, in my opinion, Floyd Mayweather, Logan Paul. That contract signing or whatever the hell face-to-face they set up down in Miami, I think they did it at like 3:00 in the afternoon on a weekday, because I remember being at work and being like, well, shit, I got to tune in on my phone on YouTube Live to watch this thing.
Right. So what I'm getting at is I think that they're wasting their precious TV time with things that can be done for essentially for free. I mean, all you need is
hype things up. Doing it at a random time too. Yeah, definitely would hype things up more.
That gives you content for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've got your Wednesday show, your Thursday show. When I say tomorrow, I meant Thursday. I'm sorry, because this airs on Wednesday, right? So you got Wednesday night, they're doing the contract signing. Thursday could have been this on their website or their streaming platform of their choice. And then now you're pushing everybody for Friday to lead you into Saturday. It was another thing to draw. But they just put it right there at TV. This is how they use the last 12 minutes of their show.
Yep, the main event spot. Two guys sitting at a table.
Yep, that's how you go off. That's the hotness, the hypeness that makes you want more. This is how we go off the air.
Two guys sitting at a table.
Two guys sitting at a table.
And we can get back to the actual task at hand here. This thing was for these two to cut promos on each other. It's just an unnecessary setting that they're doing it in. And I was a little cloudy on this here, Brian. What was Adam Page referencing when he said Kenny Omega had a partner that he felt like he didn't measure up to? Did you catch that?
Yeah, I think he was talking about himself. When they were tag team champions. They were tag team champions for a hot second there before the world shut down. And they won it on that Jericho cruise in like 2019 there, just before the world took a dump. So I think that's what he was talking about there. It confused me for a half a second as well until I was like, I think he's talking about himself. Get real deep cowboy shit.
Either way, Adam Page put his all into this promo. Kenny Omega, in they go back and forth talking about when they did wrestle and Omega whispering in his ear that he was proud of him and what the hidden meanings were all behind that, and if he meant it and if it meant he was scared of him. And it was just so, this thing was just so jumbled and just so chock full of things that didn't matter or didn't make sense. And we get to the point where Kenny Omega insists on shaking Adam Page's hand for possibly the last time.
Yeah, this was very long 12 minutes. This felt like it went on forever. I mean, forever. Forever. This thing went on and on and on. And I'm going to be honest with you. No, not giving anything away as we're getting to the end of this thing here, but I was thinking, man, Kenny needs Don Callis. This thing is weird. This TNA or Impact shutting the door and then the partnership is kind of at a halt or a cease for a moment. I'm going, I think Kenny needs him. This is weird, and Kenny just can't handle it on his own. He needs to be the silent dickhead. He can't really carry the whole dickheadness, right? And
no, he just exudes goofiness. Kenny Omega as a real person is just a dork.
Well, Kenny Omega is
we're all dorks.
Yeah, Kenny Omega is a real person. I think I would probably like. So now it's like a kid that I would like, or the trying to be something else in school. The kid that finally got his mom to take him to Max Green's at the Summit Place Mall so he could buy all the cool hip hop clothes. When 2 weeks ago, he was just wearing his Lee dungarees. It's like, whoa, where did you come from, guy? Like, how are you like the guy all of a sudden? So it's just Kenny putting on he's a character, but it comes across as a character. I understand pro wrestling is characters, but this comes across as a character. I don't buy him as a bad guy. That's why he needs a mouthpiece.
Yeah, this doesn't come off as his real personality turned up to 11, which seems to be the rule in being an effective character in professional wrestling.
Right. This is like him being at 7 and then not knowing what to do and feeling lost.
Just changing the channel, like flipping formats almost.
Awkward in his own skin. And then we push towards the end here. We get a little handshake.
And this ending was unexpected for what you and I were just discussing. This was also in our news within the past couple weeks here. TNA saying that no storylines, no crisscrossing paths of any talent are planned for any time in the near future. And but it happens, Brian. They pull the surprise. The cameraman gets a little too close and then just attacks Adam Page and hits him with the camera, drops the camera, peels off his hat and his fake his fake beard, and it is none other than Don Callis.
Don Callis, son of a bitch, if I just wasn't thinking about him, is what I said. I was very happy to see that it wasn't Brandon Cutler or Nakazawa.
I thought it was Brandon Cutler at first, and I was just, my God.
When you were watching this, did you notice the cord going across the ring when the camera cut around?
I did not.
I noticed it, and I went, wow, I know it sounds so stupid. People are going to be like, oh, you didn't notice that. I noticed, like, this, and you never see that, right? It was just a weird thing to see, and then I was like, oh, okay, that's why. So then that was that camera getting involved. But nonetheless, a little good swerve at the end. Didn't see Don Callis coming back. I thought they had, closed that off. Maybe he worked out his own deal to work outside of Impact and work with AEW. Nonetheless, then he peeled it off. He talked some shit, said he'd been sitting at home in his basement for 6 weeks so he could come do this. Basically is what his comment was.
He convinced the world that he wasn't coming back, and then he came back, and that was his biggest trick. And Kenny Omega, in an effort to make something very dramatic and very impactful, no pun intended, signs his contract in Adam Page's blood, but he does it by finger painting.
Yeah, that was so bad. Like, he was actually trying to get Kenny on it. He should have just smeared it in the spot. The symbolism would have been there.
Right. Yeah, this thing had
Or
all the ingredients were there, but he just fludged it up, man.
just take your Bic pen and put it in Adam, like poke his blood with it, and then sign it with the pen. Like, you're still using the ink pen, but the idea and the symbolism, but he like was just swiping his finger, and then he's like, there it is. It says Kenny Omega is what he says at the end, and you're like, no, it doesn't.
You look like a 3-year-old painting on your dad's finger painting on your dad's fucking.
It looked like he looked like an asshole is what he looked like.
TPS reports.
You look like an asshole. That sucked. But other than that, the swerve was good. I like that Don Callis is back. I think Kenny needs him. Otherwise, this thing's gonna fall apart quickly. I'm not sure if I see Kenny taking I'm not sure if I see Hangman taking the title. I just don't know. I'd like to see him do it. It's been a long time. Kenny's had a long run with this thing here. I think it's time to pass it on. But, I'm not sure.
I don't think Paige has been back long enough and in the top tier spotlight long enough to be able to carry that championship at this time.
Yeah.
I think he should take another L at Full Gear and just let that do what they kind of foreshadowed in this thing. Let a loss light a fire under your ass and keep going after Omega for another 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Stay in the title hunt, stay in this top spotlight, and then get it. I think Adam Page getting the title right now at this point, after very recently making a return, is going to be flatter than a plate full of piss.
Boy, there's nothing that makes me smile more than hearing flatter than a plate full of piss. I wait for it every show. But that show's on Saturday. Unfortunately, I will not be able to watch it exactly on Saturday. I'll be picking it up and watching it on Sunday. So I'll be checking that out. We will definitely be talking about that next week as we sit down and talk AEW and the follow-up show. We'll talk about Full Gear. We'll talk about what happened on Dynamite. It'll be a packed-up little bundle, so we'll get hot and get right to it. And I believe that was the KayFabe Smark podcast this week, Eric. Anything else for us?
That is a wrap on this week's episode, so be sure to hit us on all our socials. We're all over the place now.
Yeah, we've been staying hot, so make sure you're tuning in to TikTok. Make sure you Instagram, Facebook. We're still playing with over there in the metaverse of Facebook. And make sure you guys come hang out with us here on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and share. Our buddy David Lee Rath was in the chat. We known him as Jack earlier. He was over here just chatting up a storm over here. So make sure you guys hop in there. We got TikTok live streaming, kind of bootleg style still right now. I'm just got the cell phone going. I've got the clean audio going right to the phone there, but it's just a bootleg style for the video because it's just the way it's working at the moment. So make sure you guys tune into all that stuff. Subscribe and like and share and hang out, and let's talk professional wrestling. Eric, Todd, what do you have for us?
That's a wrap for us. So for Brian Rampa, for our resident snoozing pit bull, Stella Marie, and for myself, Hootie Hoo, we out the gates.
Bye.